every empire before America fell, but none left behind a digital cage. Rome crumbled under corruption. Babylon drowned in decadence. Britain bled itself dry across the seas. But America was different. It was not built merely to rise. It was built to culminate, to be the final crescendo of 5,000 years of empire. Some call it destiny. Others call it design. But the truth lies somewhere between. A plan so vast, so ancient, that history itself may have been its rehearsal. Every empire begins as an idea, a spark of unity born out of struggle. Men rise from chaos, find courage, and build order. But what begins as conviction always ends in comfort. Civilizations move through 7 silent stages: faith, courage, victory, prosperity, complacency, apathy, dependence, and then collapse. The Babylonians built towers to touch the heavens. The Greeks worshipped reason and beauty. The Romans worshipped law and conquest. Each believed they had reached the pinnacle of civilization. Each believed their empire would last forever. None did. But when America rose, it didn't claim to be an empire. It claimed to be something higher, a dream. A nation built on freedom, equality, and divine providence. The founders spoke of liberty. But in the shadows, another language was spoken, that of expansion, domination, and profit. It was the voice of empire, whispering through the parchment of democracy. The New World wasn't a land of equality. It was a laboratory of control. Its constitution gave freedom with one hand, and built the machinery of empire with the other. By the 20th century, America wasn't just a country. It was an idea exported to the world. Every war it fought, every film it produced, every dollar it printed was part of the same spell. The myth of freedom under supervision. Empires used to be ruled by kings and emperors. But the American empire is ruled by something far more subtle: systems. After the Second World War, as Europe lay in ashes, America quietly took control, not by conquest, but by contracts, credit, and culture. Through the Bretton Woods system, it made the US dollar the bloodstream of the planet. Through the CIA, it shaped governments from South America to Southeast Asia. Through Hollywood, it shaped dreams. And through technology, it began shaping minds. But empires of flesh eventually face rebellion. Empires of data do not. In 1971, when the dollar was unchained from gold, money became a belief, backed only by power and perception. And once the world believed in the dollar, America no longer needed armies to conquer. It could conquer with debt. It could enslave with the illusion of prosperity. The Federal Reserve became the new temple, the bankers its priests, and every citizen a believer, whether they knew it or not. Then came the next phase: digital empire. What Rome did with legions, America did with networks. What Babylon built with ziggurats, America built with satellites. They called it progress. But behind the screen, something older was awakening. The algorithm became the oracle, predicting desires, shaping thoughts, erasing truth. This wasn't just capitalism. It was alchemy, turning data into power, privacy into currency, and humans into products. And while the world fought wars for territory, the real war shifted from land to consciousness. Empires usually fall with a bang, but America's decline feels like a whisper. Not collapse, coordination. As if the fall were not an accident, but a design. Look around. Faith erodes. Truth blurs. Identity fragments. The family dissolves. And yet the system grows stronger. In ancient Rome, corruption was visible. Senators buying power, generals seizing thrones. In modern America, corruption is invisible, coded into the algorithms, hidden in the trade agreements, buried in the lobbyist's handshake. The people are entertained while being emptied, distracted by spectacle, paralyzed by choice. The circus never ends. It just scrolls. Rome offered bread and games. America offers dopamine and distraction. It's the same empire, different hardware. And while the masses sleep, power quietly centralizes, not in Washington, but in the cloud. Today, a handful of unelected corporations hold more data than all governments combined. They decide what truth looks like. They decide what can be said. They decide who is heard. Freedom has been redefined, not as the right to think, but the right to choose from a list of approved options. And as global crises multiply, economic, climatic, moral, one solution emerges: unification. One global order, managed by code, monitored by AI, justified by chaos. The end of the American empire will not be marked by invasion. It will be marked by integration, a merging of all systems into one. So what does it mean that America will be the last superpower? It means this: after it, there will be no more empires. Not in the old sense. The world won't be ruled by nations, but by networks. By code, by systems too complex to resist, too invisible to blame. China may rise, Europe may unite, but they will all be absorbed into the same architecture, a global operating system built on America's blueprint. In prophecy, Babylon was never truly destroyed. It was reborn, disguised, digitalized, democratized. A new Babel of connectivity where everyone speaks, but no one understands. America's legacy will not be freedom, but format. It designed the template. The rest of the world is simply updating to it. The last superpower will not die in fire. It will dissolve into code, its values uploaded, its flaws replicated, its dream immortalized in the servers that outlive it. And that's why America will be the last. Because once the empire goes digital, there's no throne to overthrow, no capital to capture, no revolution to ignite. But every system, no matter how powerful, has one weakness: truth. The ancients called it prophecy. Today, we call it awakening. When enough people realize that the empire's cage is invisible, they stop obeying the illusion. And illusion, once seen, loses its power. Maybe that's the hidden purpose behind all of this, that humanity must see the final empire rise, to finally understand that no empire was ever external. The real tyranny has always been internal. Fear, greed, pride, ignorance. America's fall might not be the end of the world. It might be the end of blindness. When Babylon fell, the prophets wept. But in their tears, a new light was born. Maybe that's what awaits us too. Because when the screen flickers, when the code collapses, when the system finally consumes itself, what will remain is what was always eternal: the human spirit, ungoverned, unprogrammed, unbroken. Every empire leaves behind a monument. Egypt left pyramids. Rome left ruins. America will leave memory, a digital ghost haunting the future, whispering of what once was possible. The last superpower will fall, not in battle, but in revelation. And when it does, the question won't be who rules next. It will be who wakes up first. Tales beyond times, because history doesn't die. It reincarnates, and sometimes it logs in.